Hey there, it's March 30th, 2020. DRutter here. Today is day 15 of my quarantine lockdown diary. And I wasn't around yesterday for day 14. Sorry about that. I can't do one of these every day. I will try, but it won't always happen. We're out here in the garden in my backyard. Sorry about the construction sounds. As I've mentioned a few times in these vlogs, there are construction workers outside my window starting at 6:45 every morning, and even as this economic collapse and social distancing and everything, quarantining continues, I'm still woken up every morning by construction of a useless roundabout out in front of my house, which is apparently going to take another 9 months. 9 months of this to build a round. Anyway, sorry about the noise. I'm looking at my garlic that's up, and that's awesome. We eat a lot of garlic here for health reasons, and for obviously it flavors food, and it's definitely one of the miracle foods. Garlic is one of those foods that has so many different medical properties and health properties, and including some antimicrobial properties if you have it in large enough amounts. But anyway, I don't know how much garlic I'm going to get. I have a row of it goes almost all the way along there to the compost and comes along this side of the fence, and it goes almost to the corner, but not quite. There's a couple of plants missing there, and then a couple of plants missing there, and then it picks up again here along here. This is a different strain of garlic. I can't remember which one's which, but anyway, along this side of the fence it's a different strain. And the reason why there's none there, maybe I'll put the footage of it here. I found some guys in my garden a couple of weeks ago digging right here in this corner where there are, say 1, 2, 3, 4 plants missing. And I told these guys, you're digging my garlic up. And they were city people. They were here, something to do with the construction. They were checking the edges of the property or whatever. And I said, you're digging up my garlic. And they said, no, don't worry, sir. It was a bare patch of ground. There was nothing there. It was bare. We made sure of that. I said, but you have no idea. You're not gardeners. You don't know that garlic at this time of year is not above ground. I had to plant that last year. I had to go make a special trip to get these bulbs. And I did a video about it, and I planted them last year here specifically so that I would have garlic to last me through this year, and enough so that I could also plant some and continue the crop going for the following year. But now I'm missing 4 plants, so, oh well, that's only 4 out of, say, I don't know, looks like about 25, 30 plants, so it's not a massive loss, but that would have been really nice if they hadn't done that. And they were saying, oh no, don't worry, we didn't dig anything up. Right, you dug up my garlic bulbs, and here's the proof. They didn't come up this year. There's 4 plants missing. Anyhow, I'm a little bitter about it. I felt kind of silly. I was yelling at them from the porch, get out of my garden. These 2 city guys. That's my garlic.
What?
That's my garlic.
Garlic?
Yes. Anyhow, I'm going to take this camera inside and finish the rest of the report. I want to dispel the whole virus is a hoax thing that is still going around. A lot of people are saying it's not even real. There's no one sick. There's nothing going on. It's all just a figment of our imagination and the mainstream media. But, that needs to be countered, because that is not true. And the more that is spread, the more chance that the virus can spread. And it is a serious issue that needs to be dealt with. The virus is not a conspiracy theory. The virus is not a hoax. It may be engineered. This may have been done to us, this virus, but the virus is not a hoax, and the virus is not something that can be shrugged off. And I'm going to talk about that and point out 3 specific things that people constantly are saying that can be easily debunked. What you're looking at on the screen is some medicine that I just harvested yesterday and the day before, and it's now drying. You're also looking at some pictures of the next crop. I'm growing some more MK Ultra cannabis plants again. It may be a little bit easy. It has a reputation of being easy, for beginner growers, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm not worried about my pride right now. I'm not trying to grow anything tricky. I just need medicine, and the dispensaries around here are closed, so at least the ones that we go to. There may be a government one that's open, I don't know, but I never have used one of those, and I vow never to, but you never know when things get crazy and desperate. To save someone's life that has cancer, MS, epilepsy, etc., you may go to a government store and pay 5 times as much and get a lot of chemicals and crap in it. But that may be what has to happen. We will have to see. But I will grow as much good, organic, clean, safe cannabis as I can here at the house, and I'm going to grow indoors because the outside will not be safe. I don't even know if my vegetables will be safe, but I'm going to have to try. And before I just get into the news here, people have been asking about my health again. Thank you. I'm not going to go into it in depth today, but Medicatie's doing fine, and myself and the baby are a little bit wheezy, but no other symptoms, no temperature, no coughing anymore, nothing, just a little bit wheezy in the chest. I think it is resolving. I believe it is, although I've been saying that for a little while now, but yeah, I think it is getting better. We don't feel, we feel fairly well, so, and the baby's in good spirits, so he doesn't even know anything's wrong, and we're going to keep it that way. And now a bit of news briefly from around the world. 38,000 deaths now. 86 of those are in Canada. That's not a lot compared to 38,000, obviously, and we are behind, but we are going exponential just like everywhere else, so that number, unfortunately, will continue to rise. Here in BC, we have 1,000 cases or so. 106 of those are serious and critical in ICU, so that's what the hospital beds are being cleared for, is for those people. And there are 106 of them now, so I hope they do recover, but the recovery rate from this, when people do go, onto ventilators and such, is not great so far, so that's kind of a last-ditch effort. And in BC now we have 19 dead, and they are now saying that the 19 do include community deaths. So people are dying in their homes now as well as in hospitals and care facilities and such. So the lockdown continues here. It is my 3rd week. I don't know exactly when everybody else went into lockdown, but this is, as I say, it's day 15, so I'm in my 3rd week now. And we've only left the house for emergencies, for, for supplies, just basically for groceries and medical supplies, and that's it. And we're going to continue to do that. In fact, I have enough supplies at the moment to last, so I don't even really need to go anywhere at the moment. And I'm just basically sticking around the house, doing yard work, and working on vlogs and taking care of the baby. And now I'm going to debunk 3 of the arguments, if you want to call them that, maybe statements, of the people that are claiming that this whole thing is a hoax, this whole thing is done by the media, and so on. And of course, these people are already up against literally hundreds of thousands of patients, family members, doctors, nurses, universities, hospitals all around the world, trusted universities and hospitals all around the world, who are saying that this is real. So it would have to be a very, very big hoax. It would have to be a hoax involving almost the entire population of the planet at this point. So these people, mostly they aren't in the epicenters, these people that are making these claims. They're usually in Canada or the US, and in parts of Canada and the US that aren't heavily hit yet. And they're saying, they're making these claims, but it doesn't really have any validity because, well, as you'll see, the numbers just aren't there to back up their facts. 3 of the things they're saying, one of them is, nobody I know is confirmed to have this virus. You hear that all the time. No one I know has this. No one. Okay? But these are the people that don't understand basic math, and there are a lot of them out there. So unfortunately, this sentiment is rampant. So to break it down for those people, there are about almost 750,000 confirmed cases. Now, whether or not that is true or not, these people, of course, a lot of them are saying that that's not even real. All these cases are just a conspiracy. And conspiracies do happen, but that doesn't mean that everything is a conspiracy, so we have to figure out what's fact and fiction here. And there are about 750,000 people infected today. And the world population approximately is 7.5 billion people. So if you do that math, that's just a quick division of those 2 numbers, you get 1 in 10,000 humans currently confirmed infected. 1 in 10,000 humans are confirmed infected right now. Right now. Yesterday that was less, and tomorrow it will be more, but right now it's 1 in 10,000. So how many people are you in regular contact with? Like, how many people in your life do you know whether or not they are confirmed to have this or not? You probably know if all of your family members have tested or not, and if they have been confirmed positive or not. Probably none there, unless you're unlucky, or you're in Spain or Italy or UK or any of these places that are exploding right now. But most people don't know anybody, and that makes sense. But what about people that know more people? What if you knew like 100 people? What if you had 100 people in your friends and family close group, and you were in regular contact with them, and you knew today whether or not they have this illness or not? What about if you had 1,000, 10 times that amount, friends and family that you're in regular contact with, and you know right now whether or not they're confirmed to have this or not? That's a heck of a lot of people. I don't know anyone that knows that many people, but if someone did, even that person probably doesn't know anyone that's infected, unless they live in China, Italy, Spain, etc., or these places that are proportionally much heavier concentration of infected people, because that's, epicenters, that's where it's growing from. So these people don't understand basic math. They just don't. There's almost no chance that anyone knows someone who's infected, because the numbers are not that large. But these people don't understand another part of math, which is exponential growth. And I can put a link down below that, if you don't understand it or if you want to brush up on it, how it works. But essentially, exponential growth, it catches up on you, catches up on humans. We don't understand things that grow exponentially very well, like virus populations and number of people infected can grow exponentially. And if you look at the numbers, the data, some of it might not be real, some of it might be fudged or adjusted or whatever, or politicized. But if you take the data from the entire planet, from all these different groups, hundreds of different groups, collecting it and collating it into one spot, there's some, you can trust the general patterns that you're finding there. And if you look at that, you can see that it is exponential. The numbers are going up exponentially. And that is to be expected. That's how new viral outbreaks happen. We've seen them in the past, and they do go exponential. So this is happening as expected. And even in Canada and the US, we're just further back on that exponential curve. So it's harder for us to see. We haven't had those big gains starting yet, as it curves up and we start to go hockey stick, they say. We haven't had that yet in Canada and the US. And a lot of us are having trouble seeing patterns, seeing how exponential growth happens, and seeing the numbers and saying, oh, only 37,000 dead. That's not even as much as the flu, right? You hear that all the time. That doesn't mean anything, because they were saying that a month ago when it was only a couple hundred people dead, right? And now it's 37,000. And they're saying, oh, it doesn't matter, it's still not as much as the flu. And that's true. But what about in another month? It will be a lot more than the flu. And then what about the month after that? So that's why it needs to be curtailed. That's why the growth needs to be stopped. Exponential growth catches up on us. We don't really understand it. And a lot of people are misinterpreting it. And frankly, they're misjudging the level of risk. And a lot of these people are vocal about it, and they're putting these ridiculous statements out online, and I see a lot of this is getting, they'll be the top comment on a lot of videos or posts or articles about this. A lot of people have these sentiments, and it doesn't actually make sense if you understand basic math. And another one of the statements that doesn't make sense is, my local hospital is empty, or I've seen pictures from hospitals all over, and many are empty right now. And yes, that is true. But what does that actually mean? These are people that don't understand logic. These people jump to conclusions and see patterns where they aren't there. So these people see that hospitals are empty, and they believe that means that there's a conspiracy going on. And like I said before, conspiracies do happen, but they're not always happening. So we have to discern fact from fiction. And in this case, why are the hospitals empty? These are people who don't understand the healthcare system. I do. I worked for 10 years as a nurse, and I've actually been recalled. Not that I'm going, but the offer is out there that I could go back as a nurse, even though I haven't maintained my registration the past few years. So they're desperate. And what's going on is they're emptying out non-essential procedures so that they can make room in these hospitals for what's coming, because people can see They can see the math, and they're in touch with people in Europe who are telling them, if you don't do this, you're effed, right? And it's true. It is true. It is legitimate. And that's why the hospitals are empty. It's not because there's nobody sick. People are saying, well, the hospitals are empty. Therefore, they say, therefore, this is all a hoax. There's nobody really sick. And it's just that there's not very many people sick at these hospitals. If you go to New York, it's not the case. The hospital actually is filling up, and they're starting to put tents outside. And people even see those tents, and they say, look, empty tents. It's a hoax. And the tents are there because the hospital is full. So they don't understand that beds are readied, and nurses and shifts and doctors are readied before patients are needed for them. If you have patients without beds, without doctors and nurses, and without resources for them, those patients suffer. So it has to be done before the patients are there. These people don't understand that. And they're making claims like, oh, if the hospital's empty, therefore the virus isn't real. And that is probably not correct. It appears to be not correct. In my opinion, the virus is very real. And these people are seeing empty hospitals and making the statement that means that it's all a hoax. So we have to be careful about these statements, because some of them can be true, like my local hospital is empty, but the conclusions that brings you to are where you can go wrong. And a lot of these people have gone wrong. So we're preparing for exponential growth in cases. That's what's going on here. And I know somebody working at the local hospital, and they say, yes, it is empty. And we've been by, and yes, it did look empty. And that's to be expected right before this goes exponential and hits that hockey stick point on the graph, and we get more cases than we can handle. So all of a sudden, those empty hospitals will be filled, and there'll be tents outside being filled as well. And that's coming. So, these people, they're misleading others with these statements online. And when this, in due time, as the months go by and this fully rolls on, these people are going to become more and more silent. And that's a good thing, but they should be silent now, because they're already wrong and they just can't see it. And the third one I wanted to talk about is, where are the pictures of bodies being stacked up in the hallways? I see that constantly, copy-pasted everywhere, variations of this. Why aren't the morgues overflowing in my town, right? Why don't I see pictures of corpses stacked up, and others agreeing with that sentiment, And that's true, you haven't seen those pictures, but there's a reason for that, and one of them is you haven't gone looking. There's pictures of that. For example, in Iran, they've had to do that. I hope that doesn't have to happen here. And two, the other reason is we kind of have a bit of privacy, right? Even corpses have privacy. We don't really show people's dead bodies very much. You might see a gurney or something on the news being wheeled into a morgue or something, but you're not going to ever see pictures of bodies, dead bodies. And you could say, well, why haven't I seen pictures of dead bodies from people dying of cancer? There's tons of people dying of cancer. And even the flu, people are dying of the flu in massive numbers. Why aren't there pictures of their dead bodies? So just because you haven't seen pictures of bodies being piled up, that doesn't mean that people aren't dying from this. And we have to get away from these statements that really, maybe they're true, like I haven't seen pictures of bodies, but that doesn't really lead anywhere. That doesn't logically follow to the conclusion which you're trying to suggest, which is that this is all a hoax. And it's not all a hoax. And I think these three statements and debunking them might help other people to realize, and to help. Maybe you can spread this video, because these statements are rampant, and if we can debunk them, then people will start using them less and less. And I think as we go, and unfortunately as the deaths do pile up, people will start to retract these statements, and you'll hear them less and less. You'll hear less people saying, oh, my local hospital's empty, or I didn't see pictures of bodies, or nobody I know has it. You'll hear less and less of that. But it's time now to realize where we're going with these numbers exponentially. I can see the pattern, and I hope other people can too. Thanks for listening.